This week, it's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new year opening up for all of us astrologically. Hi, my name's Haley Comet. This is Magic Monday, your weekly astrological forecast where we discuss every week of astrology and how it is that you can co-create with the cosmos in order to experience more alignment, more flow, more magic within your universe. This week, we're discussing the astrological happenings from March 17th to March 23rd, 2025, which you may know there is quite a lot happening. We are sandwiched in between two eclipses. We've got Mercury Retrograde and Venus Retrograde. We also have the new year. Happy New Year, everyone. And you might be saying, Haley Comet, what's that in your cup? What are you talking about? We are well into 2025. In astrology, the new year begins when the sun ingresses into Aries, which is the case this Thursday, March 20th. So there is a spirit this week of rebirth and renewal, of stepping into your next chapter. Now, that's not me saying that you need to force all of the things and launch all of the things. Quite the contrary, when it comes to eclipses, I'm very much a wait and see kind of person. See what comes up. Allow yourself to observe what is transpiring around you because there can be significance to what is unfolding at this time. But do know that there is this opportunity celestially to begin again. And isn't that so beautiful? That whatever transpired within this Pisces season this far into 2025, even the entire year that you have experienced from last year's Aries season to now, we have this opportunity to close out certain cycles and to begin again, to step our foot into something new. Certainly, it's one foot in the new, one foot in the old with the retrogrades. That's typically a nudge to complete the incomplete and handle what's ongoing rather than force new beginnings. But there is this energy where you can feel like you are coming alive again. You can feel renewed. You can feel inspired. You can feel activated. It's kind of like that energy when you have that first spring day, that first sunny day, and you feel the sun on your skin and you just feel alive again. That's sort of this energy with the sun entering Aries and this astrological new year beginning. And it is a fascinating cosmic story this week because the sun is the star of the show. I mean, the sun is pretty much always the star of the show, as the sun is a star, but especially this week, the sun has a starring role. The sun starts off its week in Pisces, the final degrees of Pisces, closing out an entire year of experiences and heartache and gains and growth and disappointment and grief and whatever your Aries season last year to Pisces season this year had in store. We're closing out that story quite emotionally, may I add. The sun aligns with Neptune. So this is the part of the show where the sun is like, oh, woe is me. And it also could be showing up around just a sense of existential dread around who am I? What am I doing? Because that's kind of the vibe around eclipses. It tends to kind of stir up this energy around what is even going on? Who am I? What do I need to change within my world? And Neptune energy could be leading and contributing to feelings of being lost at sea. But then the sun finds its footing. It steps into the sign Aries, which is the sign of the sun's exaltation, which means the sun is very comfortable in the sign Aries. As Aries is a sign of self. It's a sign of initiative. It's the raw spark of life. And the sun, being the luminary of ego and identity, is quite comfy in this territory. So there is this energy with the sun stepping into Aries of reconnecting with ourselves. With the sun being the star of the show, there's a lot of focus this week around identity, confidence, life force energy, and really reclaiming that. If you've gone through a season where you don't recognize yourself, where you feel a little lost at sea, the sun in Aries is reconnecting with self, remembering self, remembering your own authenticity, your passion, your fighting spirit, and not fighting anyone, hopefully, but fighting for the life that you desire. And then on the sun's tour, it meets up with Venus. So we have a Venus Cazimi over the weekend. And it's fascinating because the sun, as I stated, is quite comfortable in Aries. Venus, less so. less comfortable in Aries. This is the sign of Venus's detriment, but the two get together and you should have with this alignment a lot of clarity around what your Venus retrograde story is about, what it's trying to reveal to you, what it's trying to show to you. And then the sun says hello to Pluto, which again just reiterates this opportunity around it's never too late to begin again, to try again, to jump into something new with the energy of Aries. Cautiously, certainly, with the retrogrades, but to start something new, to initiate a new chapter within your life, to decide that something you went through is the rock bottom, that you will not return there, and to decide to really take agency and autonomy over your story and where it's going next. You know, with the retrogrades, certainly there could be technical difficulties and mishaps and snafus, many of which I'm sure you're already feeling. Let me know within the comments. But a beautiful thing about retrogrades is that it is a turn inward. And again, we have the sun settling into the sign of self. So there is an energy around wanting to reconnect with self, wanting to remember self, and almost this call and response energy where if the eclipses kind of kicked up this energy around who am I, what am I doing, the sun entering Aries is kind of this response around this is who it is that you are. This is who it is that you are authentically. This is what lights you up. This is the new chapter that you are initiating. And there feels to be an energy by the end of the week, because beginning of the week, the Neptune Cazimi, you could be like, what is going on? By the end of the week, reconnecting with self and being like, oh, I missed me. I missed me. I missed this side of myself. I missed my courage. I missed my passion. I missed my sense of humor. There was an energy around reconnecting with that raw zest of who it is that you are and who it is that you were designed to be. This week, we are sandwiched between Pisces season and Aries season, the last sign of the zodiac and the first sign of the zodiac. And this is a territory of the sky that has a lot of activity right now. I mean, Venus retrograde starts in Aries, will traverse back into Pisces. Mercury retrograde starts in Aries, goes back into Pisces. We have Neptune currently hovered at the anaretic degree of Pisces, will enter Aries by the end of the month. That's a big deal. We also have at the end of the month an Aries solar eclipse, but aligned with the North Node in Pisces. So there's a lot around bridging the gap between Aries and Pisces, which at a surface level glance, these signs can feel quite different to one another, as Aries is essentially our zest, it's our fire, it's our courage, it's our initiative, it's very raw, it's very physical, it's very immediate. Versus Pisces is the sign of spirit and dreams and things that are a little bit more transcendent and ethereal. It can seem like these signs are quite different, and they are, absolutely, but there is a reminder with so much of the cosmos kind of activating this territory of the sky, there is a reminder that when you embrace who it is that you authentically are, without a filter, without muting your own essence, when you carve out a path that is authentically true to you, you are honoring the divine. You're honoring the way that the divine and the universe designed you to be. You know, the universe speaks to you in terms of those gut instincts. It speaks to you in terms of what lights you up. It speaks to you in terms of what just feels like yourself. Nothing that is sent to you from the divine, from the universe, will ever force you to step out of integrity or step out of authenticity with yourself. So it's like the more you can take agency over your life and design a life that truly feels like your own, the more that you step into your purpose, the more that you step into your calling, the more that you step into what the divine has designed you to be. And so there is so much to share about this week's astrology, and we're going to need a little bit of caffeine, or at least I'm going to need a little bit of caffeine to share about it. So with that being said, take a step inside my cosmic cafe. Let me know what you are sipping on to start this week. You know, the beginning of this week is a little sleepy, okay? Sun on Neptune, it can be sensitive, it can be spiritual, but a lot of people feel Neptune energy is just kind of sleepy. You know, Neptune blurs and bends the bounds between reality and imagination. So sometimes it can like kick up our own daydreamy energy, or it could just kind of kick up what is real, what is not. We can feel like we're kind of like living in a dream. Our dreams could be quite interesting. So there could be an energy at the beginning of the week around needing a little bit of a boost. So let me know what you are sipping on if you are listening at the beginning of the week to give yourself a little bit of a boost to combat this Neptune energy. I am drinking a honey cinnamon Americano. I love putting cinnamon into my coffee. If you know, you know, perfect with Aries season and the beginning of the astrological new year, give you a little pep in your step. So that's how I'm getting my pep in my step here in the Cosmic Cafe. Let me know how you are getting yours. And as you're sipping that, pull up a chair here in the Cosmic Cafe and tell me how it's been going. How was the lunar eclipse in Virgo for you? How has Mercury retrograde been going thus far? I remember my mentor once told me, he's like, you know, florists have Valentine's Day, accountants have tax time, and astrologers have eclipse season. This is our busy season. And that is so true. That is so true. But it's also tax time and eclipse season. So any like accountant / astrologers out there, I'm sure are packed. Your schedule must be overflowing. But yeah, the reason eclipse season is our busy season is just because there tends to be a lot of activity. The energy is very charged. So there's a lot of people like, what is going on? What is my path? What is my destiny? What am I meant to be doing? It tends to be a time that's very like kind of astrologically alive. At the time being. And I'm sure, I know that there's some astrologers who watch this video. I'm sure you also have been feeling that, like a lot more DMs, a lot more questions. And if you ever get some weird, corny DM from someone pretending to be me, that's not me, okay? I'll never call you beloved. I'll never say I have a message for you and you need to book with me to find out. That's not me. Please do not fall for these scammers. That's the thing about the people impersonating me, is it's like, they're so corny with it. They're so corny with it. These scammers, they're everywhere. I know that there's TikToks, there's Instagrams, and I just want to say that even for people who are not me, like if a spiritual practitioner reaches out and is like, hello beloved, I have a message for you, and you have to like send this random Cash App money for me to tell you, that is not real. Do not fall for it. Legitimate practitioners will never solicit you for their services. They know that when it's in alignment, you will seek their services out and initiate that conversation. So yeah, be discerning out there, okay? We've got a Neptune Cazimi in the sky. It needed to be said. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into Vibe Check of the Week. So if you are new here, Vibe Check of the Week is when we take all of the events of this week's astrology and compare it to a real life scenario. So even if you're not well versed with the nuances of what it means that Venus sextiles Pluto, and we have a last quarter moon between two eclipses and the sun entering its exaltation, you can hold on to a mental picture of what this astrology feels like, how this astrology could show up within a real life situation that kind of captures its dynamics, so to speak. And so this week's vibe check, or this week's hypothetical scenario that feels like it represents the astrology, is you deciding to rebrand. You know, it's you deciding to rebrand. And some of you who run your own businesses, or you are creatives, you may do this literally. I mean, like have a new era, like have a new album that you're releasing. So you have a new style that kind of coincides with that era. Or maybe you decide that you need a new logo for your business, so you rebrand in that way. But for some of you, it could just be like a life rebrand. You know, like I stated earlier, there's a lot of solar energy this week, which is really I am energy, ego, identity. So it can also just be you kind of feeling down bad and being like, I need a rebrand. I need a new era for myself. And the powerful thing is you get to choose. Like you get to choose and define your life. And you get to choose when you've had enough of a certain era of your life. Now, we're in eclipse season, so I'm not saying we can decide exactly what happens to us and approach things through this element of control. I think the lunar eclipse in Virgo for a lot of us was releasing control, whether we wanted that or not. So it's not saying that we get to choose exactly what transpires in the universe, but we get to choose how we show up and how we define ourselves amidst what is happening within our universe. And you get to choose when you are done with a certain era. Again, maybe there's certain events that are still kind of ricocheting out or echoing within your reality, but you get to decide, okay, I've had enough of that chapter and we're starting a new chapter. Like I am turning over a new leaf. I'm stepping into a new side of myself. I am brand new. You know, we get to choose what our rock bottom is. Like if you've ever been in a situation where you're just like, I can't do this anymore, right? And maybe that rock bottom was big and traumatic, but maybe it was more subtle. And you get to choose how low it goes. You know, at a certain point you get sick of it and you're like, okay, I need a new era. Like this is enough. Enough is enough. It's time for a rebrand, right? And you can decide that for yourself, truly. Like you can decide, okay, I will not return to this particular space that I am in currently, or I will not allow my self-worth to dip to the place that it was where I allowed that particular situation, or I will not allow myself to sustain this cycle that's not good for me. I am choosing to begin again. I am choosing to step into my fire, into my my courage to take the steps necessary to get myself out of this situation, whatever it may be. And so to give this energy of a rebrand this week a little bit more nuance, let's paint a picture. We will say that the rebrand that you are going through this week, it's not so much around your business or around your art, it's around your overall sense of self. You have an experience that you are down bad over. It was embarrassing, it was humiliating, you are uncertain how you will ever show your face again, like you are going through it. And so we will say that you're rehashing this incident over and over and over again, like it's a film playing within your head. Just thinking, how will I ever show my face again? That is so embarrassing. I'm sure everybody else is thinking the same thing and thinking, how will they ever show their face again? And then you have this moment where you're like, this is the movie that's playing within the brain that I own. This is my brain. I'm lying in the bed that I own in this house that I pay the mortgage on or that I pay rent on. And this is the film that I'm watching, like just feeling more and more like a loser as I replay this particular situation. You know, Neptune energy can sometimes fog the bounds between reality and imagination. And this vibe check is kind of like you bolstering this whole vision that it was so embarrassing that everybody else can't stop thinking about it and thinking about how much of a loser you are. I just want to say, I've said this before, nobody is thinking about you as much as you think they are. Everybody is so absorbed within their own world. Like what you consider as substance of why you should never leave the house again is somebody else's maybe passing thought, and then they moved on with their life because everybody's swimming in their own little world. And beyond this being, you know, a brain that you own and a bed that you own and a home that you own, and this is the mental film that you're watching, there's also this acknowledgement around this is the world that I'm creating and cultivating. Because as we wrap up Pisces season and the sun meets up with Neptune, this really brings about this dreamy, imaginative energy. And I always say with Neptune, Neptune can be a dream or Neptune can be a nightmare. And so you could be replaying this nightmare within over and over and over again, creating a world in which you feel like a loser as the protagonist of your journey. And it's really taking agency and responsibility over the world that you are curating. Again, not taking control of every element of your outer world. We can't control whether embarrassing things happen to us or failures happen to us or humiliating things happen to us. But we can control whether we see ourselves as the victorious hero who will get to the other side of this or the loser where the situation defines you and you just keep playing this film over and over of this mistake or this error or this blunder, what have you. So Neptune energy can be helpful around recognizing what is the world that I am creating, right? Within this brain that I own, within this bed that I own, within this home that I own, and within this world that I create. Because like I said, no one's thinking about you as much as you think that they are, because everybody's absorbed within their own world, and you're absorbed within your own world. So it's your responsibility, especially with Saturn sitting in Pisces, to decide what you allow into your own inner world, the sort of thoughts that you allow to swim within it, and the sort of self-concept that you allow within your world, within your film, as the protagonist of it. And what you allow these events to mean to you. Because again, when we start this vibe check, you're kind of down bad, being like, I'll never be able to show my face again. This mistake defines me. This error defines me. But again, when we step into this hero mentality, it's viewing that same incident around, oh, well, that was kind of embarrassing, but life goes on. That doesn't define me. I'm not going to allow it to define me. I might have failed, but I could succeed tomorrow. I might have humiliated myself, but I could slay tomorrow. Like, it's choosing not to give up and choosing to take agency around what you allow these things to mean. And so you have this moment within the vibe check around this Neptunian recognition around what is the world that I am creating and who am I positioning myself to play within this world that I'm creating, within this film that I'm directing of my life. Neptune's also a very spiritual planet. So it can also be you having this acknowledgement around we are on a rock hurling through space, and I'm here thinking about this embarrassing event that transpired at work today, or this humiliating event that happened in front of my crush. There were bigger fish to fry. Sorry to use a fish saying during the end of Pisces season. That's not very nice. But it is kind of this energy around zoom out, around I'm just a soul having this experience. Like, it's really not so deep. It's really not so deep. Like, things could be as deep or as not deep as we allow them to be. That's what's tricky about navigating Neptune Cazimi, even Pisces season altogether, is that Neptune can skew and distort. It can can exaggerate, it can embellish, it can obscure, and that could be tricky sometimes because we could be blowing up the situation out of proportion, right? We could be diminishing the great things that are happening within our life. Neptune is an illusion in that way, but you can play with that illusion, and that's what I want to get into with the next part of the vibe check. It's kind of that energy when you decide that you are going to like change your life overnight. You know, you decide like to a soul level, I need a rebrand. You know, maybe I'm rebranding my Instagram, my music account, maybe I'm rebranding my business, I'm getting a new logo. That could be showing up for some of us. But within the vibe check, it's just like, I need a life rebrand. Okay, how I've been showing up is not how I want to be. It's not how I want to live. That embarrassing event, I'll get over it. But I'm deciding to revitalize my own self-concept, how it is that I see myself, how it is that I illuminate my glow to others in order to step into my new era. You get to decide when certain chapters close and when new chapters begin. Again, you can't control the events within the chapter always necessarily, but you can decide, okay, that's enough of that. You know, that's enough of doubting my abilities, or that's enough of whatever contributed to this embarrassing, humiliating event within my world. Like, I am turning over a new page. I am starting a new chapter. I'm stepping into a new side of myself. And that's exactly what happens within the vibe check, is you just decide that night, you're like, I am just ready for a new era. Like, that embarrassing event just kind of like pushed me over the edge, where I recognize how much of my life I've been living in fear of other people judging me. And maybe now that the worst occurred and I had this very cringe moment, I can free myself, free myself from what people think of me, take agency over my life around no longer caring. And so we'll say the next day you go to work and you wear clothes that make you feel really confident and really empowered. And instead of hiding your face and being embarrassed at the meeting, you volunteer your ideas. You're like, I already had this embarrassing incident, so what do I have to lose? Because honestly, things can be as embarrassing or as non-embarrassing as you allow them to be. Truly, like, we can't control whether or not embarrassing things happen. They will, but we can control how much we allow them ourselves to be embarrassed about it. Like, again, that situation that to you had you kind of like spiraling and like, should I ever show my face in public again? Someone else would have just like shrugged off and be like, this another Tuesday, right? Because when we allow ourselves to feel embarrassed and we cower our head in shame and we're so embarrassed, we kind of make it into a bigger thing. Versus if we just kind of shrug it off, just like, hey, baddies have blunders too. Baddies have blunders too. It diminishes the power that it has over us. And if anything, within the vibe check, it was just this acknowledgement around, I tried to be good and to do what other people expected me to do and not make mistakes. But now that the worst has happened, I made this mistake, I had this blunder, this embarrassing thing transpired, it freed me in a certain way. It freed me. I faced my fear around something embarrassing happened. Life does go on. We start again, we begin again, we try again, and maybe you're starting this new chapter with a little bit more courage, with a little bit more authenticity, with a little bit more effort mentality. That's kind of the Aries season energy. It's a little bit of effort. Again, maybe like a cautious effort. We've got some retrogrades. Okay, so I'm not saying like effort in terms of sell all your belongings and move with someone that you just met. Like, that's not the sort of effort mentality that I'm speaking of. But especially in this like solar week, it's like, who cares what they think? Who cares what they think? And that's the real glow up. Like, that's the real rebrand. When you let go of what people think of you, what people want you to be, because then you can just step into who it is that you are. And that's when you're magnetic. That's when you're powerful. That's when you really carve your most authentic life. And that's the rebrand of this week. So whether you're looking at your business and seeing, how can I make this more true to me, true to my offerings, true to what lights me up? If you are contemplating a new era for your music, really contemplating what describes this body of work, what's feeling good to create, or maybe it's just like a life rebrand that you are going through at this point in time around, I feel like I'm living in a life that doesn't even feel like my own. How can I reconnect to myself and really step into my authenticity and let go of caring what other people may have to say about it? We've got a lot of the cosmos in Aries right now. So if there was ever a time to let go of what people have got to say about you, it's now. It's now. And the fun thing about the Pisces Aries blend is that it's almost this like zooming out around, in this wide, wonderful world, why am I spending one iota of my precious time and energy worrying what my coworkers thought of my embarrassing moment? Like, truly. In this wide, wonderful world with this soul that is so beautiful and these gifts that are alive within me, why am I hesitating for one moment around what it is that I feel called to do? In this wide, wonderful world, why am I holding myself back from things that could genuinely change my life, things that I feel soulfully called to do? Why? This week is a great week to challenge your why. Challenge your comfort zone. Challenge any mask that you wear for other people's approval. Challenge those moments that you feel like are cringe or embarrassing. They're not that bad, I promise. But we'll go ahead and take it into our day-by-day analysis. I want to remind you that all time zones that I state are PDT, so please adjust to your time zone before making a note of them. I also want to let you know that I have timestamps below. If you want to jump forward to a particular day, jump back to a particular day. I know some watchers like to watch the day portions as the days walk on, so just know that that is an option for you. There's also a gear icon, and you can hit that to find the playback speed. You could speed me up, Turbo Haley style, or you could slow me down, whatever you like, whatever you like. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into Monday, March 17th. So top of the morning to ya. Happy Monday, March 17th. I want to let you know that shortly after midnight, so 12:50 a.m. PDT, the moon enters the sign of its fall, Scorpio. And with the moon in a water sign, the sun in a water sign, and the sun meeting up with Neptune, a planet that is associated with water, things could be feeling a little watery right now. You could feel like you're drowning with all of this water. And again, water can be renewing, inspiring, healing, cleansing, but it also could be soggy, emotional, murky of an energy. And you could just be feeling things quite deeply. And that's not always so efficient to feel everything so very deeply. You could just be trying to go about your day, but you cannot help feeling pulled into feeling bad for the squirrels in your local park, or feeling bad for the lady in front of you who forgot an umbrella in the rainstorm. Like, we could just be empathetic towards everyone and everything and feeling all sorts of emotions, our own and others, intensely. You know, the sun is building to align with Neptune. That conjunction exacts on Wednesday, but Neptune energy tends to dissolve. And again, boundaries get blurry, so we can, forget where we stop and other people begin, or where reality starts and a fantasy stops. Like, there could just be some blurring here. And with Scorpio moon, we could be feeling things deeply and intensely, really allowing this depth of emotion to wash over us like a wave. And that's the encouragement, because the Scorpio moon squares Pluto in Aquarius at 7:11 a.m. PDT. This is intense. This is extreme. This could be fear. This could be paranoia, or just feeling things in extremes. It's a reminder that truly the only way out is through. Sometimes when we suppress or we don't want to feel something, sometimes we just delay it. And that feels significant to echo now, just because we are closing out an entire year. So maybe even emotions that you have not wanted to face, or just disappointments that could have been tied to your Aries season 2024 to Pisces season 2025 are coming up now for review, asking you to feel them and asking you to grieve what you've lost and asking you to feel the depth of what it is that has transpired at this point in time. That's what helps us rebrand or step into our new era, because we have faced our shadow. We have gone through the grief. We have gone through the heartache. Like, I'm not here saying with this week's vibe check that we need to gaslight ourselves out of necessary emotions. Like, within the vibe check, you went through it, right? You felt it. You felt the depth of that shame or that embarrassment, and you decided, no more. And sometimes we go through that in life. We go through a heartache so bad that we make that decision around no more of that. No more of that. Or we deal with a loss in gambling that's so immense that we're no more of that. Sometimes when we reach the depths and reach the rock bottom of our emotions, it helps us in defining that chapter is done. And I'm going to feel it, and I'm going to grieve it, and then I'm going to start a new chapter and promise to myself I will not return to that space. And again, we cannot control our emotions or what happens to us, but if it relates to a chapter in your life that you are wanting so deeply to close, the more that we deny and suppress and run from the scary thing, thing, the more that we just kind of deny it and keep ourselves kind of in a purgatory around the old thing and the new thing, around wanting to move forward, but not fully being able to because you don't fully grasp what is behind you. Like with retrograde energy, a lot of us could feel yanked to the past, again, not to stay there, but perhaps just ensure that you've gotten all the intel or the lessons that you've needed from that past chapter in order to genuinely move forward. You know, within the vibe check, you had to go through the motions. You had to feel it, you had to grieve it, you had to be intense about it in order to get to that space where you're like, actually, on second thought, I'm rebranding. I'm stepping into work tomorrow as a brand new person. I'm actually going to allow this to be a new era for me. A new era for me. And sometimes when you just face the scary thing head on, whatever it is in life, you know, our shadow, this embarrassing moment, like really just looking at, yeah, that happened. When we face it and we don't run from it, a lot of times we will get to a place in which these emotions that we're feeling, we feel like we're overstaying our welcome within them, right? We're like, okay, it's time for a new start. It's time for a rebrand. Because there's such a difference between going through the motions and feeling, you know, the loss of something, the grief of something, the embarrassment of something, whatever it is, versus staying in it, identifying with it, continually hurting ourselves with the rehashing of it. Like you get to a place in which you're ready for a new story, you're ready for a new era, you're ready for a new side of yourself, and you recognize where these emotions have overstayed their welcome. I think I've probably shared this in 5 Magic Mondays, and I don't think in 1 Magic Monday I've gotten the saying correct. So that's gotta be some sort of record. But it really is that energy of the parable around emotions knocking at the door, and how if you allow the emotion in and you invite it for a cup of tea and you ask it why it's there and you spend some time with it, it will get the hint, it will leave eventually. If we keep it knocking at the door, we will have to deal with the disturbance, right, of it peeking or leaking its way into our world, and we won't get it to go away. You know, and we have all this watery energy. Like emotions are truly like waves. They come in and they go. And so there's an ask to just like ride the wave. If you're in the disappointment, be in it. If you're in the embarrassment, be in it. The sooner that you could just face the scary thing, face the hard thing, face what it is that you're feeling, the more that it will get the hint when it's time to go, when it's overstayed its welcome, and when it's time for a new era. You know, my progressed moon just entered Scorpio, and I would love to know if any of you follow your progressions, what was your progressed moon in Scorpio time of your life like? I, of course, understand it from an astrological point of view, but I was like deep diving into research, just like on Reddit, and just like what people have to say about it. Because I feel like people's stories around how they navigate their seasons of their life can sometimes be so telling. And I'm telling you, there is not like one piece of content on the internet that I've been able to find of someone just being like, yeah, my progressed Scorpio moon transit was fine. Everybody was like, yeah, my whole life basically transformed and all of this horrible grief happened and there was so much loss and so much destruction. I'm like, what am I stepping into? Oh my, oh my. And I have just noticed, and by the way, if you're not familiar with progressions, let me know if you'd be interested on a video on my channel about it. It's been like my latest fascination as of late. I think it's so juicy, but let me know if you want me to do a video on it. But essentially what I've observed with my progressed moon in Scorpio is that I just feel things more intensely. And again, I'm a Pisces. I always feel things deeply, but it's like with this progressed moon in Scorpio, it's like dramatic and intense and honestly all-consuming when something hits me, but then it passes. And it's like the sooner that I just let the wave crash on me, it passes. All things pass. Please keep that in mind, especially during eclipse season. All things pass. I know you might be sitting in the heartache or the embarrassment, the shame, the guilt right now. This too shall pass. Remember that. And there's also this theme around control that's kind of alive within Monday's astrology. And like I said, we really cannot control everything within this experience. But there could be an acknowledgement of where is it you do find a sense of control around. Life might feel a little chaotic. There might be certain things that are up in the air, but really grabbing hold of what does give you a sense of control over your reality in healthy ways, right? Not trying to control other people or anything like that. That can sometimes be the shadow side of Scorpio moon, but more so around, regardless of the chaos that's being stirred up within my outer world, I know that I have control over whether I keep my space organized, or I have control over whether or not I decide to go to the gym today, things such as this. And the moon squaring Pluto, there's also this acknowledgement that pain can be paint, especially as we close out Pisces season. When we are in the depths of hurt, sometimes that can be quite prolific for our art. You know, they say what's bad for the heart is good for the art. And it's powerful to put your sorrow into something, into an art project, because it does transmute it. It does transform it. It may not take away the hurt, but it helps transform your relationship to it. So there's also an invitation on Monday. Be in the pain, feel it, let it wash away, and then see where you're feeling inspired to turn it into a piece of art, or turn it into a creative project, or turn it into a great workout, turn it into something. You know, emotions are energy in motion. It's meant to be in motion, right? So once it passes through you, put it towards something, like a wave crashing onto something. And side note, like I said, this week's astrology is interesting because the beginning of it is kind of like existential dread. Who am I? What am I doing? Know that this too shall pass. Allow yourself to cycle through that. But if it gives you any solace at all, because I know that's kind of a hard place to be in when you feel very lost and like, what am I doing? What is going on? Please know that the Scorpio moon squaring Pluto is contributing to that, as well as eclipse season is really contributing to that. A lot of times this is a season where we're like, what is going on? So rather than having that what is going on while panicking and gripping and trying to control things, see if you can engage with that what is going on in an amused way around what is going on? What is going on? I'm interested to find out. On Tuesday, March 18th, the moon continues on in Scorpio all day long, So on Tuesday, March 18th, the moon continues on in Scorpio all day long, meeting up for a grand water trine with Mars and Saturn in the evening time. And so Moon, Mars, and Saturn are vibing. They're having like a sesh, little planetary sesh in the cosmos, which I'm just so curious. If you could sesh or vibe or hang out with any planet, which planet would you want to hang out with? I'm so curious, let me know. But yeah, the moon, Mars, and Saturn are all vibing and harmonizing. It's an interesting trio for certain. The moon is in its fall in Scorpio, Mars is in its fall in Cancer, Saturn is peregrine in Pisces, but Mars and Saturn are the malefics within astrology. So it's an interesting sesh, but it's a sesh nonetheless. But with this grand water trine, what this means for you, right? Beyond the planets all hanging out and high-fiving one another. Grand water trine can indicate your intuition can be on point, particularly as it relates to like getting things done or handling things. The malefics within astrology are a little intimidating, right? Mars and Saturn. But there is a free flow energy around your intuition could be guiding you in the right direction around when to take action and also when to not take action, which can just be as powerful as when to take action, right? Non-action and action can be just as powerful. And I think that is a skill of Mars in Cancer, that not every situation requires or demands your energy, and to be very intentional with what you nurture within your life versus what you starve in your life, energetically speaking. And so with Moon, Mars, Saturn, there can be an acknowledgement of what within your life has limitations or what is finite with the trine to Saturn, and investing your energy in what you want to grow or what you want to nurture, what you want to nourish, as well as depleting what it is that you do not want to nurture, what it is that you do not want to give your energy to. It's kind of like, not to butcher another saying like 30 minutes into the video. I'm so sorry. It's only Tuesday and I've butchered 2 sayings. But the saying of the 2 wolves within you that are fighting, good wolf or a bad wolf, and that they're fighting, they're battling for dominance within you. And the wolf that will win is the one that you feed, right? And the one that you do not feed. So it's just being conscious of that, even as it relates to certain lines of thought. Like, what am I feeding here? What am I giving my energy towards? It's like your energy is precious. Mars is in the sign of its fall. Like, we don't have unlimited energy to go around right now. So being very intentional around what within your life you feed and what within your life you nourish. And really like nourishing bonds and connection and depth within your life, where it is that you experience depth, where it is that you feel emotional fulfillment, like being very intentional to water the seeds of what you want in your life to bloom beyond just the things that you want, the emotions that you want, like being very intentional around, I want to feel intimacy with you. I want to feel closeness with you. I want to feel friendship with you. I want to feel joy within my life. Scorpio moon is not always by itself the most joyful energy, but with the trine to Mars and Saturn, it's like, how am I taking responsibility over my own emotional state and intentionally nourishing or feeding what in my life brings the emotions I want to feel, the joy, the fulfillment, the intimacy, the depth, the vitality, the passion, right, with the Scorpio moon. To a very like practical sense, this can be very productive, especially if you kind of allow your intuition to guide you around what it is that you feel like doing. You know, there's so much power in grabbing hold of those moments that we do feel inspired, as well as honoring those moments that we don't feel as inspired. So allow yourself to flow with what you are feeling at this time being. If you get a nudge to do something, do it. So especially with the moon trining Mars, the two are in mutual reception. If you get a nudge around, I should call up Helda. I should mow my lawn. I'm getting a random nudge that I should go walk outside. And sometimes you see why you got that nudge. Like, oh, that's why I got a nudge that I should get my walk in, because it started pouring rain right after. Oh, I see why I got a nudge to call Helda. Helda was just thinking of me and has some major news to tell me, right? Oh, I see why I got that nudge to mow my lawn. A neighbor who I've been wanting to connect with outside was there. You know, we're in the final part of Pisces season. Reality can be a playground. It can be something that you co-create with. It can be something magical. And a lot of times those magical synchronistic moments align for you the more that you honor the muscle of your intuition. So on Wednesday, March 19th, I want to let you know firstly that the Neptune Cazimi lands at 4:25 p.m. PDT. And this is absolutely energy that we will feel build towards the beginning of the week, and we'll feel separate as we walk towards the end of the week. And what's important to know about a Neptunian week is that Neptune can be a dream come true or a nightmare. Neptune energy can be answering the call of muse or getting scammed. Neptune energy can be a vision or a smokescreen, an illusion, a mirage. Shall I keep going? Neptune energy can be transcendent and blissful and in tune and inspired, but it can also be incredibly destabilizing. It can really make you feel like, what is real? And with the sun aligning with Neptune, who am I? Am I real? And quick aside, this is the final day of Pisces season. Does anyone else feel like this Pisces season flew by? Most Pisces seasons, I feel like, take a long time. Like, I feel like they are lifetimes long. This one flew by. I'm like, what is time? What is real? What is happening? And while those thoughts and questions can be destabilizing around like, who am I? What's going on? They can also be freeing in a certain way around who am I? Kind of gives you the space to play with different sides of yourself. You know, Neptune is screens, mirrors, cameras, and this is really a week around taking agency around what sort of role you want to play. You know, another thought that can make you kind of spiral is recognizing that we will never really know what we look like in all actuality. Cameras are an approximate idea, mirrors are an approximate idea, but that's not actually depicting how we are perceived to other people's eyes. And Neptune is that way, right? It is this reflective energy. And you could be the same exact person, but be reflected to be two totally different visions depending on the mirror that you look at. You know, do you have a hot mirror in your house? What I mean by that is like a mirror where you're like, wow, like there's just something about hot mirrors. Do you have one? There's some mirrors that just, I don't know if it makes you look more elongated or if like the lighting's right, but there are some mirrors where it's like, oh. And then there are some mirrors where it's like, oh, what's going on? That can't possibly be me. Again, we look the same, but just depending on the mirror that we're looking at, it distorts or it widens us or it elongates us in certain optical illusions, so to speak, that reflect a different picture to us. And that's the part of Neptune that can get tricky. Again, you can be harping and embellishing this embarrassing incident that happened and making yourself feel like such a loser and you're the worst. And that's not an accurate depiction of reality. That's you looking in the, unattractive mirror. And the Neptune energy can go that way, right? But it can also be choosing to view yourself in the hot mirror in a certain way, or at least choose, especially when it comes to your self-concept with all of the sun energy this week, really choosing to view yourself within the mirror, look yourself in the eyes in the mirror, and choosing to expand the most courageous parts of yourself and to tap into your gifts and your abilities and to diminish your flaws, not denying their existence, right? But choosing not to harp on it or to make that the sole thing that you focus upon within the reflection of self. And Neptune governs movies. So it's really this energy around, I'm in the movie of my life. What sort of starring role do I want to cast myself within? And being very conscious where you get sucked into the roles that other people have for you, right? Neptune blurs bounds. So energetically, you could be inputting and absorbing a lot of other people's energetic and emotional data. I would deeply encourage you, and we all have different ways of going about this, but really intentionally decide that you have dominion over your space and that no one can infiltrate your energy without your permission or without your consent. Affirm that, stand within that, because we are energetic, intuitive beings. And with Neptune energy, like I said, we could be feeling things intensely. Maybe a lot of it is our own emotions, us closing out this past year. But sometimes we are absorbing emotions that are not ours. Someone else misses us, we get hit with a wave of emotion. Someone is watching a piece of our content and sending certain energy, and we feel it. I'm telling you, the more that you tap into how powerful of an instrument your intuition is and what it is that you feel, it is astounding. Like, there's a reason why you got a nudge to call Helda, and Helda was just thinking of you. Like, we are all energetic beings. What is it? Like 98% of communication is subconscious. Like, don't invalidate what it is that you feel. Again, a lot of it will be your own energy, but it's important to tell the difference. And if you get hit with something random, taking that moment, is this mine? And a lot of times your intuition will give you an answer, and just continue to affirm, I have dominion over my energetic and emotional space. No one has consent to energetically infiltrate me without my permission. Like, affirm that. Take agency over your energy with all of this Aries and Pisces energy. And you can also affirm the same within your dreams, because Neptune energy kicks up our dream space. Again, a lot of people will just feel as Neptune energy is feeling sleepy. What's the point of life? What's going on? But Neptune energy can really rampen up our intuition as well as our dream space. And with Venus retrograde, a lot of us are being visited by the ghosts of ex-boyfriends past, okay? In the dreams, okay? And again, maybe that's just a cycle you're closing out with Venus retrograde being visited by ex-lovers in the dream space. But it's also very powerful to just kind of like affirm around, you are not invited within my dreams. You are not invited within my ethers. Try that and see if it helps. But on that piece where I was saying, direct your own movie, star in your own movie, don't allow yourself to be somebody else's goofy sidekick, you know, or someone else's supporting role. Again, we are other people's supporting role, but if there's like a role where you're like, this is not true to the movie of my life, like Neptune energy is also not allowing your own sense of self to be shaped by how other people receive you or how other people project you to be, right? Holding certain visions of yourself because of what other people have told you, or call back to last week's Virgo lunar eclipse, certain criticism that you have received. Again, you are not defined by your worst mistake or that embarrassing moment. Like, you define you. So it's also just being mindful around where it is that you are seeing yourself tinged from someone else's point of view or perception, or how someone else made you out to be, that you have in turn internalized. Like, think about looking at your reflection in the water. The water does not absorb the static image of you looking into the water. As soon as there's nothing to reflect, it lets it go, right? It does not internalize, it does not absorb. And we do that. We're all reflections and mirrors to one another. And sometimes what people assume us to be, the reflection that they saw within the water, says more around the person looking in the water rather than the water itself, so to speak. And it's your job as the water within this analogy not to internalize or make it a you thing, because sometimes people are in their own stuff, their own eclipse story, their own world. And sometimes people will not be able to see us as we are, as the water. They will see us as they are. They will see the reflection. And it's so funny because if you guys watch Magic Monday, you know the circumstances associated with my filming typically in some way speak to the astrology that we're talking about. And when I tell you, this Neptune segment, I've been so lost in the sauce. Describing it, I mean, I'm lost in the sauce regardless because my ruling planet Mercury is retrograde, so I'm so sorry if things are coming out like word salad, what is even happening? But especially this Neptune portion, I just feel like I'm going in circles and I'm lost in the sauce, but it's very Neptunian to be lost in the sauce. So I just want to warn you, this week you could be a little lost in the sauce yourself. like I stated, a lot of times with Neptune energy, we just feel more sleepy. We could feel more weepy. We could feel more sappy. We could feel more sentimental. Again, retrogrades make us more nostalgic. We're closing out an entire year of experiences. My encouragement would be to ground your energy, to allow yourself to feel what is moving through you. Let it move through you. And if possible, create. Pray, meditate. Neptune can be incredibly in tune, incredibly inspired, incredibly visionary, truly. Like you can get certain visions that you bring to life, really like seeing visions very clearly within your head. And that's also where it's important to kind of fuel your dreams and not your nightmares, right? So if you're in a situation this week where you're replaying a certain situation over and over again and feeling like more of a loser every time you allow that film to play, it's around, let's play the film where I get everything that I ever wanted and everything that I deserve. Like, let me use this Neptune visionary energy to roll that tape. Now, shall we? And so our lunar story on Wednesday. So the first portion of the day, the moon is in Scorpio. It does oppose Uranus in the early morning hours, like just after midnight. So you might have had a hard time sleeping or had like sleep disturbances or something like this Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, or just unexpected events may have transpired. And then the Scorpio moon trines the Pisces sun. It's worth noting we're currently in the waning gibbous lunar phase from last week's lunar eclipse in Virgo, which is all around things came to light, realizations were had. Now, how are we going to share about it? You know, there could be an energy, especially earlier this week, where you're really craving depth within your communication. You're really wanting to be around the individuals that you can go deep with. You know, my encouragement whenever we have strong Neptune energy, because then the Scorpio moon trines Neptune in Pisces, this both happens around 12 p.m., is be in environments that you want to absorb. You know, Neptune energy can be so beautiful to be in nature, just absorb all of that energy. It's not so great to be in environments like the DMV or the local Taco Bell, like places where the vibes, I mean, I've actually experienced great vibes at Taco Bell. I've experienced great vibes at Taco Bell in my day, but regardless, just places that you want to soak up, that you want to drink up, and people where you want to drink up their energy, you want to be around them. You know, sometimes it can be actually very grounding to be in other people's energy, especially if you're kind of like spiraling, just kind of like lost within your own thoughts. It can be very helpful when you connect with other people. That can be something that grounds you, can energetically merge with them and connect with them, and it kind of can temporarily transport you from whatever it is that you're like moving through or cycling through. But that's not the case for every certain connection, right? Like if there are certain individuals that are a little low vibe, like complaining a lot or just kind of like doom and gloom or make you feel insecure about yourself, maybe not the day to be around those type of people. Like our energetic barriers could just feel a little weakened. You know, we're a little bit more sensitive. We could be taking in a little bit more. And after the Scorpio moon trines Neptune in Pisces around 12:30 p.m., the moon will enter Sagittarius at 1:17 p.m. And this should bring about a more adventurous, expansive energy. You know, we have a lot of the cosmos in water and fire as it stands. And what do you get when you combine water and fire? You get steam. Like it could be a very like kind of steamy, passionate week. But again, with eclipse season, everything could feel more fraught. You could see, you know, more crashing out, right? Because fire energy can make us more impulsive. Water energy could make us more emotional. Again, grounding is definitely key here. But I will say, if you were kind of drowning in all of the watery energy, the moon enters Sagittarius, a fire sign today. The sun enters Aries, a fire sign tomorrow. So we are getting more and more fire in the cosmos, which is helpful because, you know, water absorbs. Fire kind of purifies, right? Like if we were to take a piece of paper and put it into the water would absorb it and make it like all soggy, right? And heavy. Whereas fire would just like burn it away, retain its own essence and like burn it away. And so there is an encouragement with even more of the cosmos stepping into fire, whether it's like an embarrassing moment or something shameful that unfolded or something that kind of hurt your heart or disappointed you or a situation where your ego was down bad, right? there's encouragement with more of this fire. Where can I just kind of like burn it up, right? Retain my own essence and just kind of burn up this experience. Go through the cycles and the rhythm, certainly around feeling it, burning it, dismantling it, but allow myself to maintain my fire. I don't need to absorb this. I don't need to make this soggy. I can just burn it up, let it go. But with the energy of the Sagittarius moon, you should feel in the mood to want to explore and expand around there is a whole wide world out there. Why am I here tripping off of one embarrassing moment that happened at work, right? And the Sagittarius moon sextiles Pluto. Sextiles are a soft flow of energy, but it's kind of this reminder around like I can reinvent myself. And with the energy of Sagittarius moon sextile Pluto, like maybe this trip abroad will help me reinvent myself, or this new class will help me reinvent myself, or diving into the spiritual topic will help me reinvent myself and my own self-concept, or help me, glow up with the energy of Sagittarius moon, trine Venus and Aries. The biggest glow-ups in life have nothing to do with our physicality. They have nothing to do with our aesthetic. Sure, maybe that impacts it in some ways, but it's about our energy. Like so much of life is our energy. And it really is kind of like our attitude, our confidence, our like F it mentality. Like that contributes to our glow-up. That contributes to our magnetism. And especially with this landing so close to the Neptune Cazimi, it's like, what would it look like if you just cast yourself in the role of your most glowed up, empowered self? Like, what would the movie be like if you were the protagonist who was radiant and magnetic? Like, what would that look like? And then embody that person, step into it. But overall, I would say, the Sag moon sextile Pluto, trining Venus, that happens more so in the evening time. So could potentially be great for a date night, especially something that's a little bit adventurous. I typically am a little mindful around eclipse season and the Neptune Cazimi, like make sure it's someone whose energy you actually want to be around. This could be helpful for like a dreamy date night or getting lost in some sort of adventure sort of date night, but definitely screen it. See if the vibe's there, see if the energy's there. Like this is not the sort of astrology that you're just gonna wanna give to just anybody who asks you out. So on Thursday, March 20th, Happy New Year. New Year, new us. Am I right? Am I right? The sun is beginning again, and I don't see any reason why we cannot as well. Letting whatever happened, whatever did not happen in this past astrological year go, and getting excited around new beginnings, new adventures with the energy of the Sagittarius moon, new sides of ourself that we are being asked to step into and embody. With the sun entering Aries fresh off of its Neptune Cazimi, it's kind of that energy around like gaslighting yourself to believing that you're stepping into your most empowered, successful era yet. And because you've concocted such a vision within your own mind, your reality conforms to that very vision, that very self-concept. Neptune energy could be a deceptive energy, but it could also be deceiving ourselves in a way that helps us or supports us or helps us step into our confidence, step into our courage fully and totally. And I want to take this opportunity to wish a very happy birthday to all of my Aries out there. Your season officially starts on Thursday at 2:01 a.m. when the sun steps into Aries. I just want to thank all my Rams out there. Thank you so much for adding to the zodiac your courage, your authenticity, your utter dedication to being fully the soul that you are. Like Aries energy does not fake the funk even a little bit. And I find that so refreshing to be around. Like there is a reason why some of my favorite people on planet Earth are Aries. Like I just love their childlike, youthful excitement for life, their ability to conquer new challenges within their world that inspires me to be bolder in facing the challenges within mine, their dedication to doing what other people say that they cannot do and actually doing what it is that other people say that they cannot do. I find Aries is such an inspiring, empowering sign. So I just want to wish you a very happy birthday if you are an Aries. I hope you are doing something fabulous to celebrate. But with the sun entering exaltation, again, the sun is sitting pretty, right? And so with sun being ego and confidence, there's this energy around wanting to reconnect with who it is that you authentically are. Again, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's who it is that we are before we allow the world to shape the narrative around who we should be, right? And so there is a nudge with Aries season beginning around embracing your most unfiltered, raw self. Again, be mindful with your mouth. with Mercury retrograde in Aries, what you say. Be mindful with your wallet, Venus retrograde in Aries. Be mindful with your love life, okay, Venus retrograde in Aries. But with the energy of Aries sun, remember that you are the starring role of your own personal movie, and life is too short, the movie is too short to succumb to what you think you should be for others. Embrace your own authenticity. As I stated earlier, when you embrace who it is that you authentically are, that's the first step to cracking the code around who the divine designed you to be and why the divine designed you to be the ways that you are. Like why the divine designed me to have my nerdy little interests and to be unable to keep my nose out of astrology books, right? And the other qualities that I have and that you have, right? Like there's rhyme or reason to the universe and how it moves. And the more we resist how it is that we are, flaws and all, the more that we distance ourselves for what authentically is for us, the people that authentically are for us, the path that is authentically for us, the passions that are authentically for us, which is not for everyone. It's for you. And with Sun in Aries, this can be an impatient energy, but there isn't asked to be impatient with what it is that you desire or what it is that you really want out of life or want out of this experience. Like on the note of progression, since we were talking about it this week, the year that my progressed sun entered Aries changed my life, truly. It's like I finally had the courage and the initiative to start things, to initiate things, much of which failed. To keep it very real with you, much of it failed. But the energy of Aries is around, it's never too late to begin again, to try again. You know, if a door closes, find a window. You know, at least you're starting things, at least you're initiating things. Like before that point, my progressed sun and my natal sun, of course, is in Pisces. So it's like I had so many dreams and visions, but I kind of like lacked that courage or that oomph to like do anything about it. And finally, when I had a progressed placement enter Aries, it was like suddenly I had the courage and the confidence and just the effort mentality, honestly. I'm around, I don't care what people say, this is my passion. Let's see if it works. And like I said, a lot of it didn't. A lot of it didn't. I think I started like 4 or 5 ventures that very year. I think most of them failed, but this one did not, you know, and I don't know if I would have had the courage or the initiative to try and to launch and to be visible with my passions had I not experienced my progressed sun enter Aries, kind of giving me that. And again, you don't have to have any progressed placements enter Aries for you to find that oomph, right? To find that courage to try, to get back up if you have failed, to reinvent yourself if you have failed, to rebrand if you have failed. Every single day is an opportunity to begin again. We're in the first day of the year. Like cosmically, there is legitimately a new start, but within your world, again, you get to decide where chapters end and where chapters begin. There's so much power that we have over how we shape the narrative of our ongoing story. We can't control all of the contents within the book or within the movie, but we can control, okay, that's enough of that chapter. That's enough of that insecure chapter. Let's step into my bold chapter. Or that's enough of having services within my business that don't feel aligned with me. Let's step into what feels aligned with me. And again, some things in life will fail. That's okay. Begin again. You know, they say that success from an entrepreneurial standpoint is your ability to fail, right? And learn from your failures and keep going, right? Choose to see a new day as a new opportunity, to see a new year as a new opportunity, to start again, begin again. And the moon's in Sagittarius all day long. It trines Mercury. So there could be like kind of some exciting energy on Thursday, brainstorming energy, talking about things that excite you, new ideas. Be mindful, of course, Mercury's retrograde and the Sagittarius moon opposes who it's answering to, Jupiter and Gemini. So there could be a visionary energy that's not always necessarily the most realistic, right? Could be kind of alive on Thursday, even like in the group chat talking about a certain trip that you guys know you're not actually going to book that trip to Paris. But it's fun to talk about it and to send hotels back and forth, or at work there could be all these big picture planning sessions that you're like, are we really going to do all of this? You know, maybe 9 of the things won't get done, but maybe one idea was good, and that's at least progress. Like I said, with my progressed sun in Aries, a lot of things failed, but one thing is why I'm here. So don't hesitate on opportunities to start, to initiate, to dream, to think big picture. And I want to say Thursday's special for more reasons than one. It's the astrological new year. It's when Aries season begins. It's spring or fall equinox, but it's also International Astrology Day. So I just want to wish all of my fellow astro lovers out there a happy International Astrology Day. Let me know what you're doing to celebrate. I don't feel like I usually do anything to celebrate. I feel like my life is kind of international International Astrology Day. I'm like thinking through what I could do to celebrate. And I'm like, I could read an astrology book, do that pretty much every day. I could look at my chart. I do that quite often as well. I could drink a beverage within my Pisces coffee cup that's sitting right there. I do that most days as well. Yeah, this might be an international astrology life. But I'm so glad we get a day to celebrate us and this passion. And there's so much to be said around astrology. I mean, it's changed my life. I know it's changed a lot of your lives as well. And one of the most precious gifts that astrology has given me is the ability to connect with so many beautiful souls, like so many of you that I've been able to meet with and connect with and chat with in the comments and in DMs. It's like so beautiful that this study has brought us all together. And while this study has deepened my relationship to myself and my understanding to myself, I would say the most gratifying part has been the ability to be able to connect with so many other humans in such like an authentic, heartfelt, soulful way. This study, Art of Interpretation, just never fails to astound me in the gifts, in the accuracy, in the connections that it prompts. So on Friday, March 21st, the moon is in Sagittarius all day long. It does trine Chiron at 8:22 a.m., which can be how healing it is to be honest with yourself, honest with others. You know, one thing about Aries energy is it's very honest. It's very upfront. That's why I love Aries energy so much, is because you always know where you stand with them. They're very, very direct and upfront, which can honestly be medicinal, right? And there's also a deep encouragement to be very honest with yourself as well. With Mercury retrograde, with Venus retrograde, both occurring in Aries, be honest with yourself, be honest with others, maybe gently, compassionately, right? With Mercury retrograde Aries, words that are shared at this time could be reviewed in some way. There could be a little bit of a bummer energy on Friday, kind of midday at 11:22 a.m. with the Sagittarius moon squaring Saturn in Pisces. Maybe the workload is a bummer. Maybe there's an emotion that's a bummer. Something could just feel like a little bit of a bummer. Just to wrap up the lunar aspects before I get into Venus sextile Pluto, which happens today. In the evening time, the Sagittarius moon squares Neptune in Pisces. So just be mindful to not get lost in the sauce, okay, with Neptune energy, because we have that bummer energy. So that could be like unpleasant emotions or something just like, ugh, right? And with moon squaring Neptune, it could be going to lengths to try to avoid, numb, or escape from that ugh, right? So hoping that the ugh won't be there by the time that you finish this wine bottle or by the time that you stop binging this TV show or something like this. Neptune energy can really like kick up escapism and potentially to escape from what in our life feels burdensome or hard or heavy. And so if you're going to escape, do it in ways that are constructive, that feed and nourish your soul, that connect you to your own big picture with the energy of the Sag moon. We also have today Venus in Aries, sextile Pluto in Aquarius. So believe in the power of new beginnings as it relates to love. What has transpired within your past in love does not need to continue on into your future. Like you could meet your soulmate next week who is radically different than anyone that you've ever dated. And with Venus retrograde, if you are going on this tour of ghosts from ex-girlfriends past, ex-boyfriends past, what have you, and you're recognizing that there's certain themes, there's certain patterns, Venus retrograde is a beautiful time to kind of like dead those cycles or just like take the data from that and to decide around, I don't think I'm going to repeat that experience, right? I'm ready for something new. Let me take all the data and kind of take in what were the red flags or what was I really looking for within that connection. And with the sextile to Pluto, how can I transform that pattern? How can I begin again as it relates to love? And within your existing connections as well, if you are revisiting, past arguments or past like kind of tender spots, how can we transform? How can we evolve past this cycle that we've been in? Also, when it comes to money, there could be an energy around beating yourself up about financial mistakes. And the sextile to Pluto is a reminder that money can be made back. I know it's never pleasant when you make some sort of financial mistake, or with Neptune energy, you got scammed. Be really mindful about scam energy. I'm not kidding. With Neptune energy, be mindful, okay? Be mindful of scams. Like, I know it sucks, but money is something that can be earned back. Like, our time cannot be earned back. Our health cannot be earned back. So even if you're not in a good financial situation, or you've had to declare bankruptcy or something transpired within money, again, allow this week's astrological motto to penetrate into your being around you can always begin again, you can always start again, you can always try again. Just think of the information, the wisdom that you got from that season of your life and transform it, transmute it, start a new chapter, turn over a new page. So on Saturday, March 22nd, I want to let you know that today is the last quarter Capricorn moon as we prepare for next week's Aries solar eclipse that lands very early in the day. The moon enters Capricorn shortly after midnight. And then we have this crisis of spirit lunar phase is what the last quarter moon is called. And it's not that you're literally going to feel like you're in crisis. Maybe some of us will feel like we're in a little bit of a crisis, right? Sometimes it takes getting to that energy of, that embarrassing moment or some other crisis within our life, some other rock bottom where we decide, I got to rebrand. Like I need a restart. I need a redo. I need to step into a new era. I need to turn over a new leaf. I need to start a new chapter. Sometimes those crisis experiences are exactly what's necessary in order to launch us towards a new chapter, to decide no more of that, right? And I would say on Saturday, the moon is in Capricorn for the rest of the day, and the Capricorn moon is kind of just like beefing with all of these Aries placements. I mean, it squares the Aries sun, squares Venus in Aries, it squares Mercury in Aries between the hours of like 4:30 to 12. And when we have a lot of squares in the cosmos, things could feel a little tense. There could be aspects of ourself that feels like are in conflict. We could be feeling a little frustrated or a little mad, a little impatient. Okay, a little impatient we could be feeling at this particular time. And for a lot of us, that impatience might be showing up with your own relationship to yourself. Again, Mercury and Venus retrograde, looking inward. Capricorn moon, having very high standards for yourself. You could be beating yourself up on mistakes, or you should be further than where it is that you are right now. Why did you wait so long to start or to try, or you should have done this? But again, that tension, these squares can be exactly the fuel that you need to launch your new beginning. Squares within astrology are a tense configuration, but a lot of times, those who have a lot of squares within their chart, like those are the doers. Those are the people who get things done. Those are the individuals, when there are problems, they are able to solve them, right? Because they understand this energy of conflict. They understand this energy of tension. So when life presents conflict, challenges, doors that close, no's that are received, it's more natural for them to fight through it or to find a solution for it. It kind of gives us that fighting spirit, having a lot of squares within our natal chart. And right now as well, things could be tough right now, but so are you, is really the acknowledgement here. And that evening at 8:07 p.m., we have the Venus Cazimi. So now the sun meets up with Venus, who is retrograde, and this should create a spotlight around what Venus retrograde has been bringing to your attention. I want to remind you, I have an all signs deep dive into this energy to see where it's concentrated within your chart. If you're like, I don't know what Venus retrograde is trying to show me, you should get clarity this weekend. And it might be good to revisit that video to see what aspect of your life and aspect of your chart is sharpening into focus. And as I stated, the sun is sitting very strong and Venus is less so. So yes, we are getting a spotlight on relationships this weekend, but with sun being the stronger player here, it's also an acknowledgement around how it is that you show up within relationships, right? Because with Venus retrograde, we could be thinking about our past romantic experiences and thinking about how we're in this certain pattern. And when we outsource responsibility around, it's just because I meet all of these horrible people, the universe must hate me, that's not very empowering for us to move forward and start this new chapter in love. We have to take at least a little bit of responsibility, not saying that it's your fault what has transpired for you or the people that you have dated or things like that, but taking responsibility around, I see the pattern and I am intentionally taking the reins of my dating life, and that is a pattern that I am avoiding. I'm choosing to end that particular cycle here and start a new page. And that takes taking responsibility over our life. And again, sometimes we could be hard on ourselves with the Capricorn moon, but there's an encouragement to use it as fuel, use it to feel empowered in your new chapter around what it is that you desire, the sort of relationships that you desire to experience. As well as if you're experiencing a certain cycle within relationships, see where it is that you can take the reins around advocating for yourself or just observing, how am I showing up within this connection? Because maybe there's been an unfulfilling cycle within love, which yes, maybe my partner is eating nachos and putting them on the couch. Call back to last week. Maybe there are things that my partner is doing, but also how am I showing up here? All we have control over in this world is how it is that we choose to show up. And sometimes if we don't like what is happening around us, there could be an opportunity around, how can I show up differently here? On Sunday at 12:32 p.m. PDT, the Aries sun will sextile Pluto in Aquarius, which just kind of echoes this ongoing theme around it's never too late to rebrand. It's never too late to reinvent yourself. It's never too late to try something new. It's never too late to have the courage to be authentically you. Like, Pluto energy really supports this transformation energy and believing in new beginnings. You know, something could happen tomorrow that changes your life. I know it can feel a lot of times like we are just static and that this reality is the constant reality that we are living, but you can begin again at any moment in time, and also new things can come into alignment for you. New opportunities can enter, new people can enter. Believe in the power of new beginning. I know we've got Mercury and Venus retrograde kind of dragging us towards the past, but the best is yet to come. Believe in that. Do not cast a main role in your movie, somebody who is no longer in the movie, who was only in the first part. Like, don't allow them to have screen time. They don't deserve screen time. In this chapter of your journey, at any moment, the plot could shift. And you, as a protagonist, can shift, and you can decide that you're stepping into new sides of yourself. You know, with that Venus Cazimi sextiling Pluto, Venus goes deeper than just, love, than just money. Venus is also around values and really seeing your own value, recognizing your own value. And if you have not done that, never too late to begin again, to step into a chapter in which you see your value and you see your worth and you hold your head up high. You burn away that embarrassing moment and you keep going. You burn away that mistake, taking the lessons with it and leaving the rest, returning what has hurt you back to the universe and knowing that you are worthy of what it is that you desire. And the moon is in Capricorn all day long. It opposes Mars in Cancer in the later portion of the day. So you could be feeling drained. You could be oscillating between beating yourself up because you didn't get enough done over the weekend, but also enjoying and taking in all of your rest. The Capricorn moon does square Chiron in Aries, which sometimes can bring about our insecurities, our inadequacies, especially around Capricorn moon themes. So status, success, this could be kind of like hitting a pain point of some sort. The Capricorn moon sextiles Saturn at 8:41 p.m. Of course, a little late in the day, but this could be like a productive energy to, meal prep or clean up a little bit in order to prepare for the week. Again, with that Capricorn moon opposing Mars, don't be hard on yourself if you needed a nap Sunday afternoon or you need a day to play and have some fun on Saturday. Like, you are not just a machine who needs to be efficient and productive all of the time. Like, it's okay. But I will say, with the Capricorn moon sextile Saturn in Pisces, that evening you could be in the mood to prepare for tomorrow. You enjoyed today. Now it's time to prepare for tomorrow. And it's Aries season. You should be having a little bit of fun. And then the Capricorn moon trines Uranus and Taurus. So maybe this is meal prepping something a little novel or a little new. Or even if you don't meal prep, like preparing something in the nighttime that's kind of like new and novel for breakfast. I've been super into chia seed pudding. Chia seed pudding and overnight oats I've been so into, but in making both those things, you have to know that you're gonna want it the night before, like you have to prepare for it, but it's so fun. I've been in my overnight oats chia seed pudding era. So let me know what era you have been in. And if you've never tried chia seed pudding or overnight oats, Sunday night might be a great time to start. I mean, this is a week that is around starting and initiating, trying new things. It's Aries season. So that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is, you guessed it, I begin again. I know this has been an ongoing sentiment this week, but it bears repeating because, Mercury retrograde could be frustrating. You can have some technological blunders and things that go wrong that make you want to tear your hair out. Just yesterday, I lost I think like 5 hours of footage. I was heartbroken during such a busy week to have 5 hours of footage rendered unusable. I was heartbroken and I so loved how it came out. It was so heartbreaking. It wasn't for this video, it was for a different one. But nevertheless, today I woke up and I began again. Again, mistakes were made, we begin again. Blunders were had at work, we begin again. Flops were flopped, we begin again. It's just that decision to begin again, to try again, to start again. So if you made it to the end of this video, go ahead and drop below the movie emoji, the little, what is that called? Thing. Do you know what I'm talking about? That. if you understood what it is that I'm saying. I'm having a hard time communicating with Mercury retrograde. So thank you for bearing with your Mercury ruled host of Magic Monday this week and for the next coming weeks. Just warning you. But yeah, if you made it to the end, drop below the emoji or just use the word movie within a sentence to let me know that you made it to the end. My Instagram handle is @HaleyCommentAstrology. My TikTok is the same. I would so love to connect with you over there. I'm sending you a lot of love. Happy New Year. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.